Welcome, STEMgineers, to STEM to Stern, the podcast where curiosity meets critical thinking. Join Chauntée and Jake as they discuss STEM topics that spark debate and exploration.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to STEM to Stern. I'm Jake.
I'm Chauntée.
And today we're talking about mind wiping. Is it really possible to erase memories?
So, I don't know if you've ever read Artemis Fowl, but I was a big fan of Artemis Fowl when I was a kid. If you haven't read it, it's an amazing story about fairies and goblins and trolls and amazing, anyways, beside the point, in that story, the fairies are able to come into the room and mind wipe everyone, the humans, to make sure that they don't remember seeing them. And the idea is to keep their world unknown, and so that never are humans able to access them. That's the concept. And so I've been thinking about that a lot because it was one of my favorite stories as a kid. And wait, could we ever get to the point where we're able to mind wipe people or erase memories? And what would be the good part of that and the bad part of that?
I'm thinking of movies like Memento and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah.
That concept. So there is now it's not a full memory wipe. I'm not talking about full memory wipes, but there is some science that is being research right now called optogenetics, which is basically the idea of using light to help not completely erase a memory, but to kind of alleviate a memory almost. And there are ways within it that they're able to use on mice right now, at least is what they're using it on, where they can kind of take away that fear memory.
So they're kind of, are they using light patterns that the mice are interacting with on the outside, or are they using light directly on their brains to rewire their neurons? That's interesting.
It's a very interesting, because obviously the way our memories work is neurons are connecting, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like a path. And the idea is it's creating this not a real path, but a path of connections, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea of this is can we go through and clip some of that path without completely erasing that path to get rid of those fears? And of course, the futuristic idea is to hopefully help people who have PTSD, people who have a lot of traumatic events that happen to them. I think my biggest about that is that a lot of times, not a lot of times, always, the events that happen to us, whether good or bad, impact who we become, right?
That's very true.
If we do start altering that, does it change who we are and how we view the world, which is not always a bad thing, right? But it could be a bad thing because we're so unique.
Right. You bringing up people with PTSD or even people with other mental health conditions, that technology could totally help them a lot. But how ubiquitous would that technology be in society? Would you be able to erase your memories on demand?
Right.
There's a lot of ethical questions that come into play there. And you're right. Our experiences, the good and the bad, make us who we are. And we learn from those things.
Mm-hmm. And it is interesting because and again, you were saying, is it physical light? What type of light is it? And also, if it is a certain type of light, who's to say that light doesn't at some point come into interact with you again? And does that alter what's happened?
Is tweaking one neuron here going to cause a domino effect somewhere else in your
Correct. Brain? And also, I know some of it that they're using is turned on by light or turned off by that light. So activating or deactivating is the concept of it. And again, I think that the futuristic idea of it could be really great. Because again, who doesn't want to get rid of some of those traumatic memories? Who doesn't want to not be afraid of spiders, let's say? If you have a big fear, and there are people with massive fears out there of things, I'm going to expose myself and tell you that I'm very terrified of frogs. I have no reason to be, but I am petrified. So the idea,
frogs.
Right? And I want to. They're cute, but having them next to me, I'm terrified of them, and I have no reason to be, but they're a thing for me, and I don't want to be. So the idea of thinking could there be a way for me to not be afraid of them anymore?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
I mean, so number one, that gives me a really great idea for how to prank you in the future.
Oh, great.
I'll just like pour a box of frogs on your desk. No, I'm kidding.
This
I'm
will
not
be the
gonna
end
do
of
that.
Jake.
Yeah, that would be. It would just be welcome to Stem to Stern. It's Chauntée, and that's
Yes,
it.
we will not be seeing him anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, he would never do that to me because he's a truly kind human. So
thank you.
You are.
Thank you.
And I know he would never do that. But the question, I guess, for me would be, would you ever want to live in a world where you get to choose what type of memories you keep and what type of memories you get rid of?
My initial knee-jerk reaction to that question is no, because I feel like I would obsess over it. It would be something
Which
that I
one
could
do I
become.
want?
I could obsess about it and be like, well, I don't like this memory, or this memory's bad, or whatever. And it's like, and again, like you were saying, like our experiences in life, both positive and negative, form who we are.
Correct.
And like, if you like, it's what the question here that we're asking: if you could erase your memories on command, would you? It's almost like the question of like having a time machine.
Yeah.
Like, would you just keep, like, if you had a time machine and you could go back however long, you would be spending all of your time trying to make your life perfect, and you wouldn't spend time actually living life.
Yeah. So the question that I asked him, I will also ask you: would you want to live in a world where you could choose those memories, what you keep and what you erase? And if you would, what would that look like? What would be your end goal in having that? And if you wouldn't, why?
Let us know in the comments. Until next time.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to Stem to Stern. We hope today's episode got you thinking. If you enjoyed the discussion, subscribe and share it with others. And be sure to check out our show notes for free resources and links that go along with today's episode. Until next time, keep questioning and keep exploring, STEM engineers.